Okay, looks like we're in business now, for real. They're talking about the worlds, so we haven't missed too much. They've talked about basically the special gifts that they will be giving to people that attend worlds.
ポケモンワールドチャンピオンシップス2023に関連してもう一つ映像が届いています。
Hi, I'm Andy Ghost from the Pokemon Company International.
Interesting.
We're thrilled to bring the Pokemon world together for the premiere of our newest short animated series, Pokemon Path to the Peak.
A short animated series. So would this be based on that trailer that they showed for the World Championships, or is this going to be something new?
Pokemon trading card game to life as you've never seen before.
Okay, it's trading card game specific.
World of competitive Pokemon trading card game play. It's the story of our hero Ava, who discovers her natural talent alongside.
Yeah, the art style's not as good as that trailer.
Family, community, and newfound friends. She sets her goal.
That indicates that this is going to be a Western production exclusively from the looks of it.
I know it's tough moving to a new place, but think of it as a new start. Try new things, make new friends, and eventually, you'll find your place.
Challenge accepted! Welcome to the Pokemon Club! You all
Yeah, this is definitely Western style.
That's awesome! I know, right? So
It'll be interesting to see what studio is doing this.
Real competition with championship points on the line.
So we have a trading card game specific.
Episode 1 will also be available globally on YouTube August 11th.
Okay, YouTube. I thought so.
Friends and family to join us on the journey.
Small YouTube animated series.
初めて日本で開催されるポケモンワールドチャンピオンシップス。ぜひお楽しみください。続いては帰ってきたあのピカチュウの最新情報です。
Detective Pikachu.
俺の活動の拠点はここライムシティ。人間とポケモンが一緒に暮らすコーヒーもうまいみんなに愛されている街なんだ。この街で起きる事件と向き合いながら俺は行方不明の相棒のハリーを見つける手がかりを探している。調査も楽じゃない。
Game is looking pretty solid.
もっと俺のことが知りたいって仕方ない。じゃあ特別に教えてやる。
So should we get a release date?
まずはティム、今の相棒だ。
Yes, your partner Tim Goodman. I'm wondering if there's an English version of this posted. I can check quickly and see. But I might wait until after the trailer is done here. Got a nice selection of Pokemon, including some new ones, which is good. I believe the game is releasing this later this year, so... This is showing off a pretty full trailer with some gameplay and cinematics. Ooh, a Gardevoir partner seems. A Darmanitan to punch through walls. So there'll be sort of partner Pokemon in this game. Coffee.
おいおい勘弁しろよ。どうやらこの町では大きな謎が動き始めているようだ。俺たちは早くハリーを見つけたいのに。俺たちの活躍が気になるなら10月6日まで待ってくれよな。何の日かって？そりゃ決まってるだろう。
Is that a Slowpoke news reporter? Yep, October 6th. Okay, I will take this moment to see if it is possible that there's an English version.
任天堂スイッチソフト帰ってきた名探偵ピカチュウは明日8月9日よりゲーム取扱店舗などでパッケージ版の予約を順次開始します。
Still talking about Detective
今回の
Pikachu.
事件の先に待ち受ける真相を
It's possible there is a reboot.
ここからはいくつかの情報を続けてお届けします。
Okay, we're looking at something else. Oh, this is Pokemon Horizons. So, probably trailer for the latest set of anime episodes coming to Japan. I haven't actually checked out this series yet. I'll probably do that over the coming months. Gotta say, this hasn't struck, at first glance, this hasn't struck me as too, like, wildly interesting or something that I must see. So I haven't been checking it. It's interesting that they're doing anime trailer here, and this is not. Okay, let's see if new episode stuff is coming here. A little bit. Here's our Pokemon Go stuff. As I speculated earlier, we're probably heading towards Mewtwo raids in Pokemon Go. Right now they're talking about the Go Fest, which will be taking place at the end of the month. Mega Rayquaza.
年に一度のポケモン GO のお祭り、ぜひご参加ください。そしてもう一つお知らせがあります。
Let's see what we have here. Is this trailer for the routes, which is a new thing that they've added to Pokemon Go? Haven't actually checked that out yet. Doesn't seem terribly exciting. Yeah, this looks like it's the routes.
9月からポケモン GO にパルデア地方のポケモンたちがやってきます。関東からパルデアまで全ての地方のポケモンたちを探しに新しい靴を履いて出かけましょう。ポケモン GO フェストポケモンワールドチャンピオンシップス2023。
Yes, Pokemon Go participating in the World Championships as they have.
まだまだ広がり続けます。サービス開始から2周年に突入したポケモンユナイト。現在開催中のイベントを紹介します。全く新しいバトルモード、防衛パニックパレードが登場。パニックになって攻めてくるポケモンたちから仲間と協力してデカヌちゃんを守りましょう。
Oh, that's interesting.
ミュウツーが参戦。ミュウツーはバトル中メガミュウツー X にメガ進化します。メガ進化中は連続で攻撃を繰り出し一気に畳みかけましょう。現在ユナイトライセンス X ミュウツーを獲得できるイベントを開催中。
So yeah, Mewtwo and Mega Mewtwo and Pokemon Unite.
ミュウツーも登場。メガミュウツー X とは全く異なる戦い方ができます。2周年を迎えても進化を続けるポケモンユナイト。これからもたくさんのポケモンの参戦をお楽しみください。 WCS 上位チーム予想イベントを開催中。ゲーム内から参加して報酬を手に入れましょう。そしてこの放送後からギフトコードを入力した全員にミュウとミュウツーのレンタルライセンスと強力なプラチナメダルをプレゼント。さらに2周年記念最大100回無料プライズマシーンチャンスを開催中。ピカチュウやエースバーンの人気のフォロウェアなどを獲得する大チャンス。
Nice new skins.
ぜひお楽しみください。
Looks like an event to celebrate Mewtwo and Mew.
ポケモン勝負ってさ、思ってる以
Nemona.
ずーっと楽しいよね。実りある勝負をしよう。
Nemona coming to EX. That makes sense.
ネモが登場するエピソードイベントが開催されます。パシオにやってきたネモ、さまざまな地方のトレーナーたちとの交流を描くストーリーをお楽しみくださ
And I
い。
believe that was announced.
ネモ&パーモットが登場するポケマスフェスはこの放送に合わせて開催中。放送後
Looks like Nemona will probably be a decent unit. What's this?
中
There we
放
go.
送後ぜひチェックしてみてください。
A little bit of lag.
8月9日からネモの登場を記念して特別イベントを開催。毎日強くなっていくネモとバトルをしてダイヤを手に入れましょう。さらに場の効果を操るのが得意な新ロールフィールドを持ったバディーズマサル&レイスポスが8月16
Going
日か
to
ら
use
登場。
this opportunity to see if there's an English version. I expect there has to be one, but I haven't seen it yet.
3000ダイヤをプレゼント。4周年を迎えるポケモンマスターズ EX は他にも様々なイベントを用意しているのでぜひお楽しみください。
I still don't see it. Just odd. Are they just going to upload it? Upload an English version?
おやこれはポケマゼの新メニュ
Got Tatsugiri,
ーではなく擬態ポケモンのシャリタツがポケマゼのカフェに
coming
やっ
to
てきたの
Cafe
です。
Remix.
反った姿
Will Dondozo be coming as well?
3匹のシャリタツを
Or just Tatsugiri here?
おもてなししましょう。イベントを進めると3匹の中から好きな姿のシャリタツを1匹スタッフにすることができます。
Looks like just Tatsugiri, which is interesting.
またポケモン
Why only one half of the pair?
プリンの特別な衣装夏休みをプレゼント中。
A new
デリバリ
Jigglypuff
ーのお届け
visitor.
先には本日より5つ星シェフのシャワーズトロピカルが新登場。さらにデリバリーでヤオ
Vaporeon.
ハ、ホゲータ、クワッスのピックアップを開催中。これを記念し今だけ10プラス1回お急ぎ便を無料で1回お試しいただけます。ようこそポケモンカフェまぜまぜパズルは任天堂スイッチとスマートフォンで好評配信中。今後もたくさんのポケモンの来店や着せ替えをお楽しみください。
Here we go. English
ポケモン
version
カ
is
ード
finally
の世
out.
界をゲームで楽しめる
Pokemon trading card game coming to the Game Boy. Good.
任天堂スイッチオンラインで遊べるようになります。主人公のあなたは伝説のポケモンのカードを求めてさまざまなトレーナーとポケモンカードで対戦。強敵たちとのバトルに勝利し最強のデッキを作り上げてみてください。
I think people have been expecting the
ポケモンスタジアム金銀クリスタルバージョン対応が任天堂64
Okay, Pokemon Stadium 2.
に登場。ポケットモンスター金銀に登場したジムリーダーや四天王たちとのバト
I
ル。
found a link to the English version, so
さらに
let's
ミニゲームも
see if we
多
can
数
swap
収録
over here. I don't know why I couldn't find the English version for the longest time, but finally have. Let's see if we can make that swap over. Loading. So, looks like we've got confirmation of Trading Card Game and Stadium 2 to the Nintendo Switch Online, which was expected, pretty much.
And next, we turn to the latest updates about the Pokemon Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet games. The newest games.
Okay, just in time for the DLC, which is good.
Please have a look at this video.
Let's get some more information on that DLC. I feel like they're going to end this off by revealing a new Pokemon that's in the DLC. Like a new Paradox form. Or perhaps brand new Pokemon entirely. That'll be in the DLC. Treasure of my very own, what is that? This is animated. Are we getting an animated trailer for the DLC? Or an anime special based on Scarlet and Violet? Yeah, this looks like an animated special based on the... Yep, a web series. Paldean wins.
We will release an online original animated series.
That's cool. I like that they do these series based on the new games so far. Like the one they did for Sword and Shield. We got some network interference here.
This original
There we go.
depicts the youthful drama of several academy students as they come into their own.
Got some Academy students,
We hope you'll
original
appreciate the
characters.
idea brought to life in this animated series.
That'll be fun to watch.
We have another Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet video to share with you all.
Okay, is this going to be the DLC information? Yep, we've got our... Oh, this is the Mewtwo raids coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This was actually leaked by a little Nintendo Switch Online promo. It dropped, I believe, yesterday or the day before. So it looks like both Mew and Mewtwo raids are coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Which is going to be interesting because it'll be the first time that Mew has been regularly available and catchable, which doesn't seem... Maybe it'll be a... Can they make... I believe they can make special limited time raids where you can only catch one of a certain Pokemon, so that's probably what they're going to do with Mew. They might make Mewtwo something you can catch repeatedly, and Mew something you can only catch once. Mew and Mewtwo. Yep.
We'll be holding an event called Get Mew and Mewtwo. Add Mew to your team and challenge a Mewtwo with the mightiest mark. The mythical Pokemon Mew and the legendary Pokemon Mewtwo. These two longtime rivals are bringing their fierce battles to Paldea. Starting right now, you can add Mew to your team by entering this password in the mystery gift menu in
Ah, okay, Mew is a password mystery gift.
moves will differ.
That's cool.
Enjoy adventuring in the
So mystery gift Mew and then Terra Raid Mewtwo.
The legendary Pokemon Mewtwo will be appearing in a special Terra Raid battle event. Emerge victorious in this battle, and you'll be able to catch a Mewtwo with the mightiest mark. If you challenge Mewtwo with Mew at your side, be ready for something special. We'll also hold a number of other Terra Raid battle events that'll help you challenge Mewtwo. Train with your Mew and work together with your allies to take on Mewtwo.
What special thing could be
Slated to begin on September 1st. We hope you'll take part.
available when you challenge with Mew? I'll have to think about that. Maybe different special rewards?
Share some updates about the DLC coming for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet.
Okay, here's the DLC information.
Area 0.
DLC is looking really good so far. Definitely excited to see what it brings. And this will be Teal Mask. A new form of Appleton? I think it is. It's interesting. They're hinting at something with our friend slash rival there. And here's the other DLC. The disc. So there's one shared character between both DLCs, at the very least, it seems. So there's one. Oh wait, that's a bridge. That looks like a new form for... I forget the name. Oh, there's Raikou. And who was that? Cobalion? So Raikou's looking like a Brontosaurus. And Cobalion. Hidden treasure of Area 0.
An old folktale passed down in the land of Kitakami. Pokemon trainers waiting to battle at Blueberry Academy. And Area Zero's hidden treasure. Let's take a closer look at what we just saw.
Yes.
The DLC is Pokemon Scarlet or Pokemon Violet, the hidden treasure of Area Zero. Your adventures will extend beyond the Paldea region as you
Let's see if they'll show us new forms. I saw at least 4.
Part 1, the Teal Mask.
Well, technically some of them are new Pokemon. We have a new, I think a regional variant
By Briar, one of the
of Appleton.
You'll take part in this year's joint school trip. At the center of the land of Kitakami, a proud mountain stands tall. People live at the base of the mountain and grow apples in small orchards. Rice paddies stretch across the land, and time passes slowly amid abundance. In the land of Kitakami, you'll meet a wide variety of Pokemon species that can't be found in Paldea.
Gardevoir, Trevenant, Hoot Hoot.
Blueberry Academy.
Ah, that's it. They're originally from Blueberry Academy.
Younger brother, the meek and gentle Kieran. In battle, Kieran uses a new evolution of apple. Meet Diplin,
Diplin.
one that looks a lot like a candy apple. You'll
So it's an evolution. Okay.
all about the folktales passed down in this land.
So Appleton gets a new evolution.
This folktale tells of Pokemon who once saved Kitakami from an evil ogre. Okidogi, Monkidori, and Pheasantipity. These Pokemon are known as the Loyal Three, and they're hailed as heroes. In the land of Kitakami, inspired by the tale of the Loyal Three and the Ogre, the Festival of Masks is held each year, and the village bustles with people and songs. Lie behind this old folktale. We hope you'll all dive in and find out for yourselves. A traveling photographer is also visiting the village. Meet Carrie. It seems she's here in search of a certain Pokemon. Take pictures of Pokemon alongside Parrot to help her with her mission.
Oh, we've got photo missions. Those will be fun.
In the Ogre Oustin mini-game, you can pop Ogre balloons and try for a high score. As a reward, you'll get Mochi, which can help your Pokemon grow strong. You can use Mochi to increase base points for your Pokemon's stats. A fresh start Mochi can even reset a Pokemon's base points, so you
Ooh, that's nice.
just the way you like. And that's not all. You'll be getting the new Roto Stick 2. Take photos with wider angles using the Roto Stick. Try out new poses and give your snapshots more variety. Enjoy your
That's
time
cool.
in the beautiful land of Kitakami. Part 2, The Indigo Disc. Director Cyrano of Blueberry Academy, your academy's sister school, will invite you to visit as an exchange student. This is Blueberry Academy, where your story will unfold. Amazingly enough, this newly built school lies mostly underwater.
So the school facilities are mostly underwater.
In the terrarium located within the school, you'll find the subtropical savanna biome, the lush coastal biome, the rough and rugged canyon biome, and the freezing polar biome. A total of 4 artificially created areas. Each of these areas is home to many different Pokemon. You'll get to know the
That's neat.
take on new classes, and experience a student life that's a bit different from what you're used to. The Academy students often engage in
BB League.
they formed a group called the BB League. At the top of this league stands
A new Elite Four.
inspiring battle-loving cook Crispin, the taciturn and cool-headed Amaris, and Drake, whose laid-back attitude belies his impressive battle skills. His partner, Archaludon, is a new Pokemon
Archaludon.
from Duraludon.
Duraludon, that was the name. So it's evolution. Okay.
Challenge. To battle them, you'll first need to take on their elite trials. Apparently, one of these trials even lets your Koraidon or Miraidon fly around temporarily. Perhaps his latent powers will be fully unlocked someday. One of the extra
Full flight for Koraidon and Miraidon rather than just gliding.
It even has its own club room, which you can redecorate as you please. In this room, you can find new ways to have fun, such as by changing up your Pokeball throwing style.
Yes, Pokeball throwing styles. Yes, I'm so happy those are back.
At one point during your studies here, you'll be able to invite trainers from Paldea to be your special instructors. You can spend time with these trainers to get to know them better and battle them too.
That's cool.
Finally, your adventure will lead you back to Paldea. What could the hidden treasure of Area Zero possibly be?
We've got 2 new evolutions so far, Applin and Duraludon.
Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet's DLC, the hidden treasure of Area Zero.
I noticed they skipped over the... I think that was Cobalion. Yeah, that looked like Cobalion. The Cobalion and Raikou.
What did you think? We now have the release date for Part 1, The Teal Mask.
Okay, September 13th.
Future announcements for more news on Part 2, The Indigo Disc. We hope you look forward to adventuring in the land of Kitakami and the new encounters awaiting you there.
It's looking really good.
That's all for
As I've always speculated, the DLC is definitely taking the place of third versions. It definitely adds a whole lot of... It adds a whole lot to the game. Generally, it adds enough in terms of new characters and new Pokemon and new story elements, expansions of existing systems within the game, that we can safely say that DLC replaces the third version as a general thing. It's not surprising that they didn't announce any brand new games, because as I expected, as I just said, the DLC takes place in the third version. So with the DLC, this is basically the third version to Scarlet and Violet. It's released in parts, so the first part is next month, September. The second part is winter, winter 2023, which will be from when? December until January, or wait, yeah, from December until March. Yeah, so anywhere from around Christmas to maybe the first few months of 2024. After that point, The Secret of Area Zero. I'm a little bit confused on if that counts as a separate DLC or if that will automatically activate once both DLCs have been completed. I'm thinking it's the latter, so once both DLCs are completed, then the Secret Area Zero missions game area opens up. At least that's my line of thinking so far. And then that leaves 2024 open. There's also been this rumor that dev kits for the next Nintendo console hardware has been getting out to developers, indicating it'll probably be handheld just like the Switch is, and it may or may not be backwards compatible. Knowing Nintendo, I'm thinking it definitely will be backwards compatible. So let's see. Considering Game Freak's development cycles, if they were doing a sequel to Legends Arceus, I feel like they would have started development on that game. The question is, did they start that development on the Nintendo Switch hardware, which I feel like that is the strongest possibility, so we may have one more Pokemon game coming to the Nintendo Switch before Generation 10, which I feel Generation 10 is definitely going to be on the next hardware, and it's probably going to be in 2026, I'm gonna say. I feel like 2026 is safe. 2025 feels too early, though it could be 2025. 2026 feels safer. I feel like for Generation 10, ideally Game Freak would have started developing that for the next Nintendo hardware, realistically, considering Game Freak's development habits in the past, like them being very, very late to get a Pokemon game onto Nintendo Switch, and the first Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch being very lackluster before getting to Sword and Shield, which was a real main entry Pokemon title, fully fledged, full featured, online, able to be used for the VGC. So the question is, if they learned from that mistake, then Game Freak should have been developing Generation 10 for the next Nintendo hardware already. So we should see Generation 10 release early on the next Nintendo hardware, within the first 2 years, I want to say. If they haven't learned their lesson from that, then they will be hesitant to start developing on the new Nintendo hardware, which means we might see Generation 10 come to Nintendo Switch, which would be the worst thing in the world if the new hardware is backwards compatible, because you could just take the Generation 10 games and play them on the new hardware, and that transitions relatively smoothly. So, the question is, coming out of this in terms of Generation 10 will be, will that be developed for the Nintendo Switch, or will it be developed for the new hardware? And in terms of games, other than the next generation, there's the lingering question of, I believe at this stage we can kind of say that the Let's Go games were a one-time Charlie kind of deal, which I expected, because when we look at the Let's Go games honestly, they were not that great. They were just a really, really basic, bare bones Generation 1 remake. It was to get something on the Nintendo Switch hardware because Game Freak was hesitant to develop for the Nintendo Switch hardware for some reason, and that ended up with them being late to bring a main series title to the Nintendo Switch. So Let's Go was kind of a stopgap to fill that in. It had the wonky Go mechanics that were received not too well. It was mixed reception. So I feel like that was just a one-time deal, one-time Andy. We're not going to see a Let's Go Johto or Let's Go turn into an entire series that goes on, because then Game Freak would be in a development cycle where they're making 2 remakes on this staggered release schedule. You have to make a Let's Go remake and a traditional remake. It just doesn't make sense. It just adds more development pressure on Game Freak. It turns the franchise, people already complain that the franchise is yearly and there's too short of a development cycle between titles, and that results in the titles being quote-unquote lesser quality than people are expecting. So cut Let's Go out of the picture. Let's Go is not a thing. It's not a series. It's not a franchise. It's not going to be a thing that continues on. Then we have the main series games, the Legends games, which were much more successful. I think people are much more receptive to that. They're much more anticipatory of a Legends game in the future. So maybe there will be a Let's Go game. Not Let's Go, a Legends game. I would say the possibility of a Let's Go game is 10% or less. I would probably put it at 5% realistically. Yeah. The possibility of another Legends game, I would put much higher. I'd say maybe around 30% at this time. No, I would say 50% for Let's Go. Not Let's Go. For another Legends game. Could happen, could not happen. If another Legends game is happening, it could go into the gap year where I feel like 2025 or 2024 is going to be a bit of a gap, because we have the Scarlet and Violet DLC, and then we have the rest of the year with no Pokemon game. So I feel like that slot, 2024, after the winter, so from spring to the end of 2024, that zone, they could release another Legends game in that zone. The Legends game will basically fill the gap. The VGC will be another year of Scarlet and Violet, which is perfectly fine because all the new Pokemon added to the Pokedex through the Scarlet and Violet DLC will make sure that there is an interesting season with lots of changes going throughout 2024, basically. So Scarlet and Violet will remain the VGC games. It's my prediction throughout 2024. We'll probably get a Legends not Legends Arceus, but a Legends game. Or they could, this is another speculation, off chance, Legends could also be another one-time Andy Pokemon game, and they do something else, another experimental kind of just see what we can do title. A new Pokemon sub-main series title, like Legends Arceus or Let's Go. Yeah, they could do something like that. An entirely new game that is in that gray area like Legends and Let's Go were, where they're not quite main series games. They're developed by Game Freak. They're technically main series, but they're also not main series because they don't fit into that mold directly. They don't peg right in. So they could do another experimental game there. Or they could do a sequel to Legends, and then on the very, very, very off chance, a sequel to Let's Go to fill that gap. But I feel like a sequel to Let's Go wouldn't fill that gap very well. I think that the best chance will be a Legends game in 2024, then the next main series game, Generation 10, in 2025. And if it's releasing in 2025, that's why there's that question. But I feel like 2025, if all the rumors on the Nintendo hardware, the new Nintendo hardware, are true, then 2025 will be almost a year into the life cycle of the next Nintendo hardware. So the Generation 10 should release on that hardware, ideally. Game Freak should be developing it for that hardware, and it should release on that hardware. Off chance, in my mind, well, see, I can't call it an off chance because I have to call it 50-50. Ideally, on the 50-50 side, ideally it would be Gen 10 would be for the new Nintendo hardware. The not as ideal 50% is that it's for the Nintendo Switch. But since the new hardware is backwards compatible, or will be backwards compatible, in my mind, my speculation is that it will be backwards compatible. So if it's backwards compatible, then it won't be so bad if Generation 10 is a Nintendo Switch title. But yeah, that's generally my thoughts, I think. As for the Nintendo Direct, well, not Nintendo Direct, the Pokemon Presents, let me be proper on that. It was pretty much what I expected. The idea of a new game was kind of not a long shot, but I'd call it a medium shot for me in my mind. I thought things that were 100% assured were, we knew about the Mewtwo and Mew coming to Scarlet and Violet through the leaks, Nintendo Switch Online leaks. 100% guaranteed would be information about side games and spin-off games, Unite, Go, Cafe Remix, Masters EX, Detective Pikachu. Those were all basically boilerplate, standard for these Pokemon Directs. They always go through that side game information before building up to the main series games. So all those announcements were as expected, pretty much. The main series announcements were good. We got lots of new information on the DLC. I noticed that they specifically teased us with the Paradox Raikou and Paradox Cobalion. Obviously, they are going to be Pokemon, well, I won't say obviously, but I want to say that the fact that they didn't announce them means that they're probably going to be Pokemon that you encounter in the new Area Zero DLC that unlocks probably once you complete the two DLC stories and unlock the new Area Zero. They will spawn in that Area Zero, even though that doesn't make too much sense because Walking Wake, the previous two DLC mons they announced, those were Terra Raids. So these two should also be Terra Raids, or I guess, yeah, since they're Paradox Pokemon of Legendary Pokemon, they won't wander the map. They will be Terra Raid exclusive. That's how I should think about it. Yeah. Okay, yeah, since they're Paradox forms of Legendary Pokemon, they're going to be Terra Raid exclusive. So they will probably make Terra Raid announcements for those two Pokemon. I want to say maybe in that gap between Teal Mask DLC yeah. So either they'll release the two new Paradox Pokemon in that gap between the two DLC, or after both DLC have been released. But it's interesting. It also, it also confirms that there's definitely going to be another set of Paradox Pokemon released. So there's going to be a Paradox Entei and then a Paradox Terrakion. Yeah. Because this basically 100% confirms they're going to complete the trios, both of those trios, so there'll be a Paradox Entei and a Paradox Terrakion. Those haven't even been revealed yet, so those will probably be revealed maybe mid-2024? Maybe mid or late 2024. That will complete the two trios. then that leaves the question open, will they do Paradox Pokemon for anything more? Because they specifically chose the Generation 2 and Generation 5 Legendary Trios, which are odd choices, but for whatever reason they chose those two trios. I don't think they're going to do all Legendary Trios as Paradox Pokemon. And there is one more question, is that since they did do the Generation 5 Legendary Trio, since they are technically a quartet with Keldeo, will they do a Paradox Keldeo? And if they did do a Paradox Keldeo, what would they pair it with, since they seem to do these paradoxes in sets of 2, introducing new ones? If we're sticking to the Generation 2 and Generation 5 formula, then a Paradox Ho-Oh as the Trio Master to Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, but that doesn't quite pair up because stat-wise Ho-Oh and Keldeo are on different terms. Like, Keldeo's not a box legendary like Ho-Oh is. The analog to Ho-Oh in Generation 5 would be Paradox, like a Paradox Reshiram or Zekrom, or even a Paradox. Even a Paradox Kyurem. I feel like, I guess the easiest thing to do would be just to end with the trio. Yeah, do Entei and Trekion in mid to late 2024. That rounds out the trios. Also, there will be a game in 2024. My speculation, maybe it will be a Legends game, maybe it will be something different from a Legends game, but I feel like a Legends game is the highest probability at this stage. Then 2025, Generation 10. And the DLC, I was really glad to see that Pokeball styles are returning. I was actually just talking about that the other day, that I missed how there were Pokeball throwing styles. I believe that was introduced in Generation 7 and Sun and Moon, where you could change your Pokeball throwing styles, and I thought that was a really great bit of trainer customization that was missing for whatever reason. I'm really glad to see it return. I think that should be a standard that at some point in all future titles, players should be able to unlock Pokeball throwing styles, because that is a really original, has that dash of originality. The expansion of the photography feature was a smart decision, because that was a really popular feature. People like customizing and creating different photos through the tool, through the options, so giving them more tools and options to do photo customization is definitely a huge plus. And doing those Pokemon Snap style photography missions in Scarlet and Violet, it's a very brilliant stroke, because people love Pokemon Snap, and while it's not a full Pokemon Snap experience, it's a sort of a light Pokemon Snap-ish experience in Scarlet and Violet, which is an excellent idea with the photography option. The possibility of unlocking full-on flight for Koraidon and Miraidon's a good idea. Well, yeah, I guess it's a good idea. I mean, there's something to be said for keeping it limited to gliding, where the player glides around and they still have to climb and explore and stuff. Unlocking full-on flight is more convenient, but also cuts down on the exploration. Like, in general, you don't want to build an open world map and then, like, early on give the player the option to just fly around, fly over the entire map, because then the player is never forced to explore the map. While limiting things to gliding does force, at least it forces exploration, it forces the player to land and have to orient and get to another high spot and jump up again. So in an open world game, you do want to make sure the player at least explores some. And generally, the more time the player spends on the ground, the more likely they are to stumble across something that piques their interest and causes them to explore. But if they can just fly over the map, they'll spend the entire game flying from point to point, exactly from point A to point B. And the only possibility of them stopping to explore anything will be if something from the ground catches their eye. So from a game design standpoint, giving the player full flight seems like something you don't want to do until after the player has completely explored the game. Once the player has completely explored the game, or explored the game to a certain level of satisfaction, then you can go ahead and give them the ability to fly, because they've already explored most of the map anyway. They won't be missing out too much, and at that point it will be up to the player to decide if they want to seek out things and explore new things, or if they're just going to fly from point A to point B to do whatever task they're going to do. So I feel like, for a Pokemon game, I feel like exploring should be prioritized, because that's how you find new Pokemon, that's how you encounter shinies, that's how you have those experiences. So allowing the player to just fly all over your open world map, fly from point A to point B without stopping. The trailer itself does mention that maybe the player will be able to unlock full flight, but in video game trailer language, when you say maybe the player will be able to do X, that means the player will be able to do X at some point. So that means flight will be unlocked for Koraidon and Miraidon at some point. So my hope is that some point will be later on in the DLCs, maybe after the player has completed the DLC, then they can unlock full flight for Miraidon and Koraidon. That seems fair. So we got some new evolutions, which is good. I'm always glad to see them adding new evolutions to existing Pokemon. As I've often said, I believe that adding evolutions to Pokemon is better than regional variants and convergent or divergent species. Because in my mind, regional forms are moving laterally with the Pokemon design, while evolutions are a step forward with the Pokemon designs. Also, the evolutions are entirely new Pokemon, brand new Pokemon, versus the regional variants, which are just, at the core, they're just a recoloring and retyping of an existing Pokemon design, so there's not as much thought and craft put into that. So I'm glad to see evolutions in DLC. I'm hoping that they continue with that. I think this is a good trend. I think that like, of all video games that have existed before the era of the internet and DLC and such, well, not before the era of the internet, but I mean before the era of online games for consoles and DLC and such, I think that Pokemon is one of the titles that benefits Pokemon is one of the titles that benefits the most from that, because you can have entirely new Pokemon that surprise players in a style that used to be lost in the franchise, like from generations, I would to say, basically from generation 2 onwards, players had the ability to data mine the games, and since everything was on carts with the Pokemon games, when they data mined it, they would get all the information about the unannounced, hidden, legendary, and mythical, and special Pokemon that would eventually be released to the players, so there was never a surprise. Once the game was data mined, you knew everything that was coming. In the era of DLC now, there is room for surprises, because you can have the data completely separate and build the Pokemon completely separate and then add it as DLC. So things can be surprises. There can be surprises of new Pokemon, new evolutions, introduced through DLC, so I think that's a good idea. At this stage, with the DLC developing the way it is, I can't say that I'm going to miss third versions too much. I mean, as an aesthetic thing, I will definitely miss them. But I think DLC fills that gap quite nicely. So I'm happy with DLCs over third versions and such. As a practice going forward. So I think that's it for my thoughts about the DLC and what it means to the franchise going forward. It's very good DLC from the looks of it. It's going to add a lot to Scarlet and Violet. Definitely makes them worthy titles to continue on as they have. I'll be looking forward to playing through the DLC, getting access to the new Pokemon and exploring the story in a new area and characters. I think the story of Scarlet and Violet was pretty outstanding. I think it's the best Pokemon story we've had since probably Generation 5, I want to say. And in some aspects, Scarlet and Violet's story in some aspects it is better than Generation 5, I'll say. So it could be the best Pokemon story we've ever had in Generation 9. So it's definitely in that contender spot. First or second with Generation 5. So looking at keeping to that standard, the DLC story should be just as good, maybe even better. So that's going to be very exciting. There's also plenty of gameplay options they've added. They've added this Mochi system, which is going to be good for EV training your Pokemon. That's really good. New ways to EV train quickly and conveniently are always welcome. It also shows that Scarlet and Violet will be, VGC games for the 2024 year. It sets them up for 2024. Because with all the new Pokemon added to the Pokedex in the games, the format changes a lot. And people will be able to quickly raise up strong competitive Pokemon using the in-game mechanics, which is good. They've also added a feature where the player will be able to invite back trainers from Paldea into the, I believe it was in the Blueberry Academy DLC, so that is the DLC that's coming next year. But it would be great to invite back those trainers and see the additions to their teams and have more story interaction with them, more character information, which is always good. You'll be able to battle them and see their new teams, get more experience. I'm wondering if it will be, I hope it's not limited to just gym leaders. Hopefully it would be every character that you got a chance to battle in the main Scarlet and Violet video games. So that will be all the gym leaders, the Elite Four, hope maybe even the champion Geeta have a chance to redeem Geeta for that horrible team. Horrible, disappointing team she had in the main storyline for Scarlet and Violet. All of the Team Flare, or not Team Flare, excuse me, Team Star members, hopefully. Yeah, that would be interesting. The Academy teachers, basically all of the main characters, the other Academy students definitely, so Arven, Penny, Nimona. Definitely. Hopefully you'll be able to invite everyone. That would be a huge addition. yeah, I know that with these kind of streaming event presentations, there are always people that set their expectations way too high, so they're ultimately destined to be disappointed and upset with the outcome. But I think for those that had realistic expectations going in, tempered expectations going in, that their expectations were met and exceeded in many areas in terms of what the DLC provides. And that's the way I feel. My expectations were met and exceeded in some respects by the DLC information revealed. So all in all, this is a very good Pokemon Presents. I would consider this like, you know, in the Pokemon game release cycle, when going from generation to generation, there are the directs that introduce a new generation and expand upon a new generation, and then there are the directs that are in between generations. And this is one of those in between generation. Well, yeah. In between generation directs that announces DLC, expands upon DLC. So that was good. I believe that the next Pokemon Presents, if we're speculating that there will be a Legends game in 2024, that means there'll probably be another Pokemon Presents. There's usually one at the start of the year, so maybe in January there will be, or maybe, yeah, that makes sense. In January there will be a Pokemon Presents, because a January Presents would be able to announce details about the Teal Disc, the Indigo Disc DLC, as well as introduce the next game, the Legends Arceus game, or new game. Since I'm sticking to the idea that we're looking at 2025 for Generation 10. So we'll probably see a direct in January. We'll talk about the Indigo Disc DLC, and it might be the direct where they reveal the Raikou and Suicune, or not Raikou, Raikou and Cobalion Paradox Pokemon. Or it could be the Entei and Terrakion Paradox Pokemon revealed in the January Pokemon Presents, if the Raikou and Cobalion are revealed sometime later this year, which is a possibility because they were shown in the trailer. Because they wouldn't have hinted at them in the trailer if they were too far off, so they have to be within the maybe 6 months top range for them releasing. Six months is a long time. I would say maybe 3 months tops, yeah. Yeah. So maybe we'll get those paradoxes before the end of the year, and then in January they will reveal Entei and Terrakion, along with the Teal Disc DLC and Legends Arceus game for 2024. But yeah, those are my thoughts. This was a good Pokemon Presents, I'd say, for a mid-generation Presents. Was very solid. A lot of new information, I'm satisfied. Some new evolutions. Always a plus in my book. Pokeball throwing styles returning. plus in my book. Going into this Worlds, solid. It's going to be fun watching the World Championships take place. And since this did happen, we had this present pre-Worlds. I think that means they don't need to do a present or reveal anything during Worlds, which is interesting. So the opening ceremony for Worlds should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, I don't see them doubling up announcements like that. So yeah, the World's opening should be opening ceremony and closing ceremony should be fairly straightforward and standard. So don't expect any big announcements at Worlds. No new game announcements or DLC information or stuff like that. Nothing at Worlds. Which is okay in my book, because we have the Pokemon Presents here. So yeah, solid Pokemon Presents. Set things up for the next, I guess through the end of the year, through the end of 2023, very nicely. Looking forward to all the new stuff that's coming. So thank you for watching, and I will see